So, as it's described here, one bright summer afternoon, Avi, that's me, a young Jewish boy who happens to be a Christian, sits beside his Jewish grandfather, who also happens to be a Christian. They are talking about God and his ability and willingness to forgive. Now, Avi is a pretty young boy from a pretty good family, but his grandfather has just said something that shocks me, okay? In fact, it even frightens him a little bit because of how angry it makes him feel inside.
Avi, God doesn't forgive people because they're good. Good people don't exist. God only forgives evil people who know they need to be forgiven. In fact, God is the most excited to forgive those who are the furthest away.
Saba, this can't be. We know that God hates sin, Saba. God flooded the earth. He drowned the wicked people in Noah's day. God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for their radical evil. God punishes the wicked for their sins. He doesn't forgive them.
Yes, Avi, God is holy, and God will destroy those who refuse to change. That's true. But the Bible is also very clear that deep down in the heart of God, this deep heart, God desires for it not to be this way. God calls people to himself out of mercy to change, no matter how evil they are.
Saba, I don't understand. If someone has earned the wrath of God, why would God not give them what they deserve? I mean, I thought God was a God who honors his justice.
Avi, I'm excited to tell you the story about the two lost sons, because now we are going to see something from Messiah Jesus that maybe you've never heard before, maybe you've never understood. There was once a man who had two sons. They were his heart and joy. They had all of his favor, the blessing and security of living beside him. And one day the younger of the two sons comes to his father and he says, "Father, give me my share of inheritance. Give me your well-being. Give me your life. Give me your living. Give me all that is owed to me." Avi, do you know what he's really saying? He's telling his dad, "Hurry up and die already. I don't love you. I love what you have prepared for me, but you're getting in the way of that blessing." Can't you see, Avi, that he loves the blessing but not the blesser? Can you see, Avi, that he loves the gift but not the giver? He wants the inheritance right now at the cost of his father's own life.
Saba, that is so wicked. Doesn't this young man know Torah? God tells Moses to command us that if any son or daughter disgraces their father or mother so outrageously, they are all to be taken outside of the city and stoned to death. Saba, does this younger man, does he fear God or not?
No, Avi, I'm sorry to say that he doesn't fear God. He doesn't love God or his father. But listen to what happens next. The father doesn't choose to execute his son for his rebellion or even discipline him. What does he do? He turns him loose. He gives him over to his sin.
Saba, what does that mean?
It means that the father allows his son to go his own way. He divides up all the land that he's worked so hard over the years to give him. He's deeply ashamed over the son's decision, but he takes 1/3, the younger son's inheritance, and he gives it to him now, while the older son retains the 2/3 of the property.
Saba, how can this young man do this to his father? Does he not know the disgrace he will bring upon his family? His father and mother will not be able to go into town with their heads held up any longer. They have lost all dignity and respect through this wicked young traitor of a son.
I know, Avi, I know. You're right. This is a horrible son. This is a very shameful thing. But the young man, he takes the 1/3 property and instantly he sells it. He sells the family farm, which his portion of the farm that's been in the family for many generations. And without saying goodbye, he leaves. And he fills a carriage full of purses and silver and gold, bags of wealth, all of his father's wise and diligent work, all of his effort. He piles it up on a wagon and he heads for destruction. He leaves Israel. He leaves behind his Jewishness. He leaves God. His heart calls to the foreigners, to the strangers, those who don't walk in the ways of God. Their land gives him everything that he craves. It's a land of wild living. He can eat as much as he likes. He can buy whatever he wants. He doesn't have to live with consequences. He can buy his weight of all of his problems. No one can tell him what is right or wrong. No one is his boss now. But this young man doesn't realize that something is dying inside of him. All of the loving of the Lord your God, with all of his heart and mind and soul and strength, has changed, and now he only loves himself. He becomes the God he worships and obeys. His will, his commands, his desires, that's all that matters. And loving his neighbor as himself? Yeah, right. The only neighbors he will have are the ones who tell him what he wants to hear, those who give in to the desires that he has made for himself. Avi, this young man has died. This young man is now lost.
Saba, stop. Is this young fool eating up all of his father's hard-earned inheritance? Doesn't he care that he's a glutton? He's a sluggard described in the Proverbs. Well, why won't he come to his senses? Doesn't he realize that the way of self-love leads to death? How can he do these wicked things? Saba! I hate this story.
Avi, just wait. Messiah Jesus tells these stories because they have power and they have hope for us. This young man, this fool, lives this way for many years, burning through many decades of his father's hard-earned labor. But eventually, his luck runs out.
Good, Saba, good. I hope he dies of starvation. God has finally turned his back on this man who has abandoned him and his family. His foolishness will cost him dearly. Saba, what happens next?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. This young man who has died to his country, he has died to his family, he has died to his father, he has died to his God. He's all alone. He does not have any identity any longer. He has no money left. You are right in a way, Avi. The God of Israel has been watching him. God sends a famine into the land, a horrible famine, and many animals die. People are starving. Many flee their country of rebellion and are forced back into the land of God, the blessing of his leadership. But not this young man. He will not go back. He refuses to humble himself under God's mighty hand.
What does he do, Saba?
Well, Avi, this is really disgraceful. It's very sad. But this is all he can do to keep his independence, to stay away from this king. He goes to a citizen of the country, a cruel man who owns a pig farm. He begs the man, give me a job, make me your slave, pay me whatever I deserve, I don't care, I just want to be able to survive this famine. And so the young son is sent to work alongside the pigs in their filth, feeding them and tending them.
No. Pigs are unclean, Saba. He couldn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't.
Yeah, he did, Avi. He does. He's desperate. And when the farmer's not around, he even steals the rotten corn cobs out of the mud to eat them himself. There in the mud, in the stinky poop-covered clothes, there in the mud with his famished ribs poking out, there with his hair all matted and sore on his body from the bacteria, there in the swine's filth, the young man finally reaches his end. He is starving. And these pigs have more value to his new master than he does. He is nothing. He is nobody. He's had enough. And the young man sits in the rain, surrounded by pigs, and he wails, and he mourns. He swears at himself, and he curses his own foolish rebellion. What have I done? Who do I think I am? What treachery and arrogance. What did I ever do to deserve, or my father do to deserve what I've done to him? What disgust I see, what loathing I see in myself now that I would do this to him. What a monster have I become. And the young man cries, and he cries, and he cries. And Avi, I know you don't like hearing this part, but this is important. Something is happening inside of this young man. Something so important that maybe it's better. Maybe it's better that this young man had to go through all of this after all.
Saba, how can you say that? How can this have been better than if he'd just been a good boy, stayed at home?
Well, Abba, this boy is changing. His hardship is allowing him to see who he really is. Can you see that? And as this young rebellious man cries, new ideas flow into his head and into his heart that he has never experienced before. It's as if his heart is finally sensitive, that for the first time in his life, he knows the difference between right and wrong. He judges what is good and what is important. His heart of stone is changing into a heart of flesh. Messiah Jesus says that he's coming back to his senses. For the first time in his life, he thinks a new thought about his Father. A thought and feeling about him that he's never had before. How many of my Father's hired servants have food to spare? Oh, my Father, he's not a tyrant. He's not the monster I thought he was. His rules and his order, it isn't cruel and restricting. It's all love. He was protecting me. He was protecting us. He was guiding us. He was giving us structure. My Father was the best thing that ever happened to me. And now look at me. I've thrown it all away. Look what I've earned in my wickedness. I'm starving to death. The wages of sin are death. But my Father, oh, this good, tender Father, I will run back to him. And here's what I will say. I will say, Father, I've sinned grievously against the God of heaven. I've sinned grievously against you. I'm no longer worthy to be your son. I've earned my deadly consequences, but have mercy on me and allow me to come back to you as a hired servant, as one of your slaves. And so the young man stands up in the pouring rain, dripping in mud, but inside his heart is beating with hope. What if? What if the Father will allow him to simply be a servant on the farm? That would be so much better than the cruel master that he is serving now. That would be so much better. And so he gets up and he begins to run. He is tired. He is starving. He is heartbroken. But for the first time in his life, there is a sliver of hope.
This young trader, he's chosen his own destiny. He deserves what he gets. He deserves the life he's built. But I'm also feeling a little bit of empathy towards this boy, okay? This young man is no longer the person who killed his father in his heart. He's no longer the arrogant, self-loving monster who has left the farm. Is it okay to hope?
The journey back to the land of God is long. But finally the young man recognizes the long winding driveway up to the manor house. He is overcome with shame for what he has done, but this is his only chance. He can't go back to what he had. And so as he climbs up the driveway, he hears a familiar voice in the distance, and he looks up. Running down the hill is his father. He is running so quickly that he trips and stumbles. But getting back off, he throws off his majestic robe. He takes off the sandals and throws them onto the road. He is calling loudly as he's running, my son, you have returned. And as he finally reaches him, he grabs him tightly and swings him around and kisses his filthy neck. There on the road, this king-like father stands in his underwear, barefoot, hugging and kissing his manure-covered, matted hair, ripped clothes, ghastly thin, starving to death son. This is the heart of the Father. Oh, Avi, can you see? Do you know what it cost the Father to embrace his Son? Do you only know the cost that it was for his mother and his father, these many years of pain and torture? The only way to regain honor in this moment is to abandon the Son and to say, leave, you've died to us. Your legacy has polluted our honor. What will the village think? What will the people say about you? But no, Avi, no, the Father does something different. Now the younger son pulls himself off of his crying father and he steps back and gets on his knees. He bows down before him and he says, "Oh, Father, what have I done? I've sinned against the God of Israel. I've thrown away his covenant and his laws. I've brought endless shame and sorrow upon your noble head. I've taken your good gifts and I've turned them into my gods. I've worshiped myself and indulged myself. I have loved myself to the end. Oh, how my heart burns inside of me that you would take me back. Oh, good master, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Master, from now on," but Avi, listen closely. The father has turned around and he's not even listening to the son. Does he even hear anything he's saying? He's turning around and he's talking to the servants. "Hurry up, Joseph, Samuel, call all the other servants. Bring them down here immediately. Go into my room. Get that fancy Persian outfit, my fanciest robe I use for business occasions. Get my signet ring that I stamp on all of my business declarations. Bring them down here. Take these ugly, filthy clothes off my son and wash him. Put those clothes on him. Give him my best. Get that fattened calf that we were saving for the governor's visit next month. Give it, yes, the big one. Let's kill that one and let's have a feast. And not only that, I want you to go into the village and invite everyone, all of them. I don't care. No, it doesn't matter about the honor. I don't care what this looks like. Get them all and bring them back to the farm. We are having a feast." We thought we had lost him. Look at this son of mine. He's returned from the dead. He's a miracle to us. He has been found. Then he calls his friends and neighbors. Sorry, and I'm reading the wrong part.
What's the right thing to do here? This young man deserves to be cast out, to face his consequences. The love of the Father is so amazing.
Well, the entire farm becomes a whirlwind. There are servants yelling and running around. There are oxen and carts quickly going to town to buy more food. There are feasts getting prepared by the cooks. There are musicians tuning their instruments, and everyone is talking about the joy and the mercy of the scandalous father. And a few hours later, while the party's in full swing, out in the furthest field away, the older brother finishes up a long week in the sun. He is brought in the harvest as the supervisor. But now all the other servants are nowhere to be found. So he brings all the animals back by himself. He puts all the tools away. He locks up all the barns. He closes all the gates. He gets everything ready. And tired and hungry, he walks slowly toward the manor house. And as he enters the yard, he hears laughter and music playing. Inside of the house and outside in the yard, there are hundreds of people celebrating, dancing, laughing, eating, drinking. There are servants buzzing around a fattened calf, being cooked in a spit. There's a full party going on. What is happening? So the elder son, the hardworking, ever-dependable son, stops a servant carrying a platter of appetizers. What's going on here? We never have parties on the farm. What is happening? The servant looked at him and said, "Haven't you heard that your younger brother has come back? And your father has restored him fully to the family. He has killed the fattened calf because he's finally back." Isn't that amazing? And the older brother's blood begins to boil. This is not amazing. This is scandalous. This is not right. This isn't fair. He looks through the crowd and even spots his father and brother laughing. Are you serious? Why is he wearing Dad's most expensive robe that he got from Persia? Are you kidding? What is on his hand? Is that a signet ring? Is he giving authority back to this wretched son? And his older brother, with fire in his eyes, turns to leave. But as he is turning, his eyes meet the father. And he realizes, as their eyes lock, that he hates him. He hates him more than his younger brother. So the older brother leaves the party. He leaves the house. He leaves the family in his rage. But the father runs after him, trying to stop him from becoming the second prodigal son. No, wait. Son, please don't leave. Where are you going? And the father pleads with him.
Saba, why does the father act this way? So these are two disgraceful sons. Right? Does he have no self-respect?
No, Avi, he has a lot of self-respect. He actually has a lot of dignity. The father is willing to be looked down on by others and misunderstood because of his grace. Forgiveness costs him everything, and he's willing to pay the price. Avi, this is what love looks like. But now, look how this older son responds. Look here. You listen to me. All these years I've slaved for you and never once disobeyed you. Whatever you asked, I fulfilled. Every order of yours I carried out. I have been more than enough to earn my right. I've earned the right for recognition. All this inheritance I've earned, but you never once even gave me a young goat, let alone this fattened calf. I've done everything to become what I am, and you never once acknowledged me. You make me sick. This son of yours, this wicked, lazy, squandering, lustful pig, this unclean monster who has destroyed our entire family reputation. He's eaten up everything that you've worked so hard to save up. He spent it all on prostitutes and drugs and fancy cars and river cruises and high roller casinos. In a few years, he has dumped all of this down in the drain. How can you be so weak? How can you be so soft? How could you forgive everything that he's done to you? Oh, Avi, I know you're wrestling with these things too, but what do you think about this older son and his response?
Saba, he does have a point. Right? That is how I feel when I hear that God gives horrible sinners a completely clean slate. We have lived good lives. We've gone to church. We've given our money to God's kingdom. We've spent our hobby time learning about God and serving Him. And then there are people who become Christians. They become Christians. You know, they have lived their entire lives in defiance to God. They've mocked Him with their arrogance. They've defied His laws, but they ruin everything, and they finally realize they need help. Why does God give them a second chance? They've chosen their life. They should be forced to live with their consequences.
Well, Avi, I'm glad you have these concerns. And Messiah Jesus created this story. He crafted us this story for us to think about these things, to wrestle through what you're wrestling through. What do you think the father says to the son who's running away too? Can he stop him before it's too late? Before this man, this younger boy, becomes the prodigal son with even a worse story to tell? This is what the gracious father says to the second prodigal son. My son, you're always with me in everything. Everything I have is yours. You're not my slave. You're my son. Everything I've given to you is a gift. You haven't earned any of it. You have never could have earned it. But look at your brother. He is back. And he belongs here. Just look at him. We have to celebrate. We need to be happy, son. Look at him. He was dead. And he's alive again. He was lost and abandoned. He had nothing left. He became worthless and rejected, but now he's been found. He belongs. He's been received. Oh, Avi, do you understand why Jesus, the Messiah, told this story? The reason Jesus tells this story is to open the eyes of the blind. The Pharisees were angry that Jesus welcomed wicked people into his kingdom. People who the world hated because of what they had done. People who everyone knows shouldn't be given a second chance, who should not be loved. Avi, are there people like that in our world? Avi, should drug dealers who sell drugs to school children who overdose, should they be allowed to be forgiven by God if they mourn and repent and they turn their lives around because they're so sorry for what they've done? Avi, should rulers like Putin of powerful countries like Russia that like to start wars with weak neighboring countries like Poland, if they have a heart of sorrow and they want to change and they want to become new, are they allowed to be forgiven, or should we say that it's over for you? You don't get mercy. Avi, what about one that hits a little bit more closer to home for us, Jewish people? What about Hitler, Avi? He killed God's people. He killed 6 million of us Jews in World War II. Does he deserve to be forgiven, Avi?
Saba, of course not. He's a monster. We as humans need to turn our back on him. He's no longer human. He deserves to be destroyed. Destroyed. He deserves to be hated and rejected for what he did.
Avi, you're right about something here. Hitler does not deserve to be forgiven. No one does. Not me, not you. No human deserves what the Father has done for this rebellious son. Avi, can you see that? The problem when we look at our world and we think that there are good people who deserve to be forgiven by God and there are wretched monsters who will never qualify, this is not the way God looks at our world. Avi, if you could only see that every one of us humans deserve hell. Every single one of us humans are the prodigal son who died and was lost, and God looks at all of humanity and says, I want something different for you. I love you. All of us are prodigal sons in God's eyes. All of us need the Father's embrace. Avi, can you see that? And you know what, Avi? It doesn't matter how bad someone is. If that person finds themselves in the pig pen and begins to loathe themselves, begins to see the reality of what they become in their self-love and their self-worship, anyone who finds themselves there in shame and guilt, in their honest reflection, in their true godly sorrow, these are the people, and only these are the ones who qualify to be forgiven by God. They and only they are the ones who the Father runs toward. Can you see what Messiah Jesus is teaching us, Avi? That this is exactly the only people who God forgives. God forgives wicked people who know they need help, because wicked people are all that exist. Jesus, the Messiah, even said, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but have only come to save the sinners. I have only come to seek and to save the lost. Now, ABC, let's look at the screen. Do we deep down believe that we need to be continually rescued by Jesus? Do we see ourselves as the sick who need a doctor, or are we healthy and we're doing just fine without him? Did Jesus come to this world to save those people out there, or did he come to save us? When we think about this, when we deep down get in our hearts with God, do we believe we're the older son who has earned a right for all of these things? Or are we the prodigal son who needs his mercy? Who are you in this story? God only forgives wicked people because wicked people are all that exist. The only ones who are made clean are those who know they are filthy. The Father only runs to those who know they need his forgiveness, and he's more than willing. ABC, our view of ourselves and our view of God will determine everything, whether we receive his mercy and whether we extend that to others. Let's pray. Father God, we know that Jesus Messiah is the truth teller. There is no one on earth who knows what he knows, and he knows your heart, Father. I pray that every single one of us would be struck by this story, how Jesus tells it, and the power of what Jesus is saying, that none of us qualify for these things, but the Son has qualified us, that the friend of sinners has come to us and rescued our hearts. I pray that every single one of us would know that because of Jesus, we can stand before the Father. I pray that none of us would look at people in the world with hardness of heart and say, I hope they get what's coming to them. I hope those people never hear the truth. I hope God would never have mercy on them. Father, I pray that you would give us a heart that forgives, a heart that loves, a heart that wants to see all of humanity changed. And I pray that in our own lives, we would soften our hearts and be with you. That we would see that where we are prodigal sons and daughters, where we continue to run back into the mud, that you would bring us back. We thank you that you sent your Son who became the prodigal son. He went the furthest out to get each and one of us. He died on the cross as a prodigal. He died in between two sinners for us. And so, King Jesus, I pray that you would melt our heart and show us that you are love and that you did this for us. And we are to love and forgive one another. May the story of this, your good words, pierce our heart, penetrate, and go all the way down and soften us, that we would love our enemies. We would love those who don't deserve to be forgiven, and we would reach out to them. May you grant mercy to those who are wicked, who need to be forgiven. In Jesus' name, amen.